we joined Budgens about 2 years ago, but prior to that we ran a chain of clothing shops, and that we ran for about 15, 20 years, and that worked quite well. But because the market had changed and we were quite small and we weren't able to compete with the larger companies like New Look and things like that, so that's why it's quite important for us to join a group where we could use our strengths and use theirs. And when we used to have the chain of shops, we were always trying to pretend we're much bigger than we are, but this way we can be big and still be small, so that's working really well for us in that way. I like the idea about joining a food business, because whereas we were in the clothing business, our sales would go like this. You know, at Christmas time we would be earning bundles of money, and January we'd be with a bucket begging for money. I thought Budgens was a brand and a size in a way that we could compete with the multiples like Sainsbury's or Tesco Express. A lot of the other symbol groups, I think they're fine as corner shops, and I think the market is going to get more competitive in years to come. And I think it's good to be with a brand that can compete quite well with something like Sainsbury's Local or Tesco Express. So that's why I joined, not purely just for today, but in years to come, because the amount of investment that's involved, you have to think long term really. In this store we have quite a bit of competition. We've got Tesco Express in a farmer's market, and there's a new Sainsbury's Local opening, and I think that's why it's quite vital to be a store of this size to compete with the people like Tesco Express and Sainsbury's. Had it been a smaller shop, I think we wouldn't have had a good fighting chance, which we have now. Quite a bit of flexibility. We can order what we want, and if customers ask for a specific product, whether it's produce or baked beans of a particular type, we can make our adjustments with the ordering, so we can adjust it to the local area. We've done quite a few things in this area to compete with the likes of Tesco Express by getting involved within the community. And things that we have done is things like we ran a competition last year where the kids designed a recyclable bag, and I think 4 or 5 schools took part, and we had the bags made for them, and we gave the bags, so the school was able to sell the bags, generate some money for themselves, and also we sold quite a few within the shop. That really sort of paid for most of the expense that we incurred. And we got a lot of publicity as well within the community, in the local press. And the other one we recently done was the Mother's Day event. Again, what we've tried to do is get involved with the schools. We hired a professional photographer, and we put some adverts in the local press and in the shop and with the school newsletter, where the parents could come in, have some photographs taken, and they could make a donation of whatever amount that they wanted to the local charity here, which is called the Shooting Star. So we generated just under £1,200, and people paid whatever they want, and it worked quite well when you say to someone, you know, you pay what you want, and that way I think they gave a much more than they would have if we'd said, you know, it's £5 each time. In this store we keep full-time people because it works quite well for this sort of store, because they get involved within the community, and a lot of the customers have a good relationship with our guys that work within the store. And if it was all part-time people, I don't think we could have gelled in or established a relationship with the customers, so that's quite important. One of the biggest fears I had about going into the grocery business was about going to the cash and carry, doing the loads, and that was one of my biggest fears. But now with Budgens it works really well. We have a truck coming every 6 days a week. They come here at 6 o'clock, and everything is already geared up for us to just put it out in the shop. So having those deliveries works really well, and we still have a lot of flexibility because we're all ordering a couple of days in advance, so it's not something that we have to plan ahead. And by having these deliveries 6 times a week, it helps us to have a very small amount of backup store, because a lot of independents, what they tend to do is they tend to go to the cash and carry 3 times a week or 2 times a week, and they keep a lot of money tied up at the back in the stock room, where a lot of people would be amazed for the size of the store, the amount of storage we actually allocate to the produce or the groceries. I think it's quite good to be with a brand like Budgens because they organise all the promotions. Something that as an independent, there's no way you could generate the point of sale on your own. We're constantly having different promotions at different times, whether it's Mother's Day and things like that. So we make a point of making the customers realise that there's a big day, big event coming, and that helps quite a bit for the sales really. When I joined Budgens, I had a goal of having 4 Budgens, which I plan to do, and it's pretty much on target. Everything tends to take a bit longer than you expect, but that's the way it is. I think Budgens gives a lot of support in terms of acquiring new locations. Again, it's something I don't think any of the other symbol groups do, is in terms of there's a gentleman who helps you in locating a store and evaluating whether it would be right for a Budgens, because there's certain things that Budgens looks for in a store. And also, one of the other things I found very useful with being with the Budgens is that they can prepare a business plan that we can go to a bank and say, look, this is our projection and this is how it will be. It's great joining Budgens because we're still independent and we're still large, in the sense by joining Budgens, I think we can utilise their strengths, and also Budgens can utilise our strengths because we have a lot of flexibility and the things that we're able to do because it's an independent store. So really it works quite well. One of the other good things about Budgens is that they have their own brand, own label, and it helps us compete with the larger groups because we can show, we're a larger company because we have our own branding, and it also helps in the price levels because we can cater for different sort of customers who want the premium end or who are working onto a budget. By having that good value range, which we do quite a bit of in the shop, tends to help quite a bit. There's no guarantees in business, and there's probably it's the only way you can reduce the risk by joining someone like Budgens. And by joining Budgens, I think they have a lot of support for individuals who have a bit of a get up and go. Budgens, by joining Budgens, it's not that Budgens is going to do everything. I think you still need that drive in you to get somewhere. But if you have that drive and there are strengths, I think it's a lot easier to expand, or even if you're the type to just get one store, it's easy to find one store and make it work. Because of the backup in terms of evaluating the store, putting it together, someone doing the merchandising, someone planning the layout of the shop, I don't think I would, there's no way I would invest that money with any other brand, or even myself. I don't think I would invest that money. If I was opening Binda's own supermarket, I'd look for something a bit more smaller, a bit more less money involved.